Hey guys, it's Matt. Today we're going to talk about the Catwoman Premium Format from Sideshow Collectibles. This is the exclusive version, so it comes with two portraits. There's a lot of detail packed into this one statue that's just a single black suited character. It's a lot of fun to find all the details and a couple of Easter eggs. Let's get into it. One thing Sideshow includes that not every statue company includes is a full color art box. I like to talk about them just to give a little bit of insight into this extra piece of presentation that Sideshow includes. Now, this Catwoman box comes with a full color picture of Catwoman on the front. It's been dropped down to 3 or 4 posterized colors, so it gives it a real Art Deco feel. She's silhouetted in front of this full moon, and it's a full dusky pink all the way around the box. I think it does a lot to pay homage to the era in which Catwoman was created, and gives us a good feel of Gotham City and its architecture in general. The city landscape goes all the way around. It's a real simple box with not a whole lot going on. On the bottom, we do have the number, because this is a number matched box. This is number 550 of 1250. This Catwoman logo treatment is repeated both on the front here and on the top. If you have room in your collection to display a few of these boxes, I think they add a lot to the statue. I just don't have room myself, so they tend to go in storage. Now, the start of any statue is its base. Catwoman's base is this Gothic gargoyle that is actually a bat that represents Batman. This is something that I didn't notice the first time the statue was revealed. I thought it was going to be like a regular gargoyle demon, but this is a bat. It's got a W in the base that harkens out to Wayne Enterprises or something like that, so maybe she's on one of his buildings. It's fully sculpted, and it has these cracks and texturing that make it look like granite. It's well painted, well shaded, and it has a lot of detail. On the bottom, you've got that Gothic silhouette motif continued, and it has the statue's number right here, Catwoman, and then a few logos and copyright notices at the bottom. That's your base. It's a tall base for a statue, and it's kind of got this unique feel of going from narrow to wide, and then that continues into Catwoman up here in the body portion. Next, we have Catwoman's body. Now, she fits into the base with a heavy peg and a pin in her thigh here. There's an indentation at the top of the gargoyle that lets it look like her thigh is actually squishing on top here, and it gives a good feel of some pliability and organics to an otherwise rigid statue. It helps integrate the whole piece together and makes her look like she's actually sitting on top of this rock and not just perched atop it. It's a nice little detail and something that I don't think I would have thought of right off the bat. Okay, after you've got the body fitted, you're going to put in Catwoman's right arm. Her right arm is stretched out and tensioned, and it's really giving a lot of dynamics to this pose. She's grabbing onto the bat here on its forehead, and her claws are actually leaving deep gashes into the forehead of this bat gargoyle. It's solid stone, and she's grabbed onto it when she's landed there or something like that. It gives you a good feel of how strong and dangerous Catwoman is, not just beautiful and sultry. It's neat storytelling like that that makes statues fun to collect for me. After you've got her right arm fitted, you're going to move on to her left arm and her whip. Her left arm and her whip are actually two pieces that come in the box separately. I have fitted this beforehand because this is actually a PVC whip that's flexible, and it has a wire inside so you can pose it a little bit, but it does fit into this whip handle that's attached to her hand with a square rubbery peg, and that only goes in and out once or twice before you're going to lose it in the whip handle. It's a weakness in the engineering that I wish they would have done a better job with, maybe have a metal square peg that goes into this hand here, but it's the decision that they went with. Just be very careful if you put your statue together and take it apart for moving. You may have to come up with alternative methods to hold that whip to the handle if it breaks off. So you're going to carefully wrap the whip all the way around her body, and there are two pegs at the base here. One on the whip cracker at the very tip here, and then there's one that connects to this spire right here. That'll give you solid purchase, so you can wrap the whip all the way around, and then it fits into a sculpted peg on her bicep. You want to make sure the whip is smoothly spiraling around the statue, because that carries your eye all the way from the body down to the base, and from the base back up to the body. It helps make the entire composition a cohesive piece. All right, next we have the portraits. This is the exclusive version of this statue, so it comes with two portraits. we've got your collector's edition portrait here, which has the goggles and the open face. This is kind of a New 52 Arkham City design. Then we have the exclusive edition portrait, which is more of the animated series design. It's a bit more classic. She's got a full face mask with the open eyes. Her sculpt is actually different and her makeup is different. It adds an alternative look to this statue that's pretty significant, more than I thought it would. I do tend to prefer this collector's edition portrait, and this is the portrait that comes with every version of this statue, no matter if you get the exclusive version or the collector's edition. So there she is. There's Catwoman fully assembled in the collector's edition, and here she is in the exclusive version. Let's leave this collector's edition portrait on while we talk about her a little bit. All right, let's get into a little bit of my impressions of the design and feel of this entire statue. I love the way this statue starts at the base, completely cut off. There's no puck, there's no extra base that isn't part of the world that this statue would inhabit. So it looks like this spire that she's been sitting on has been lopped right off. You continue up and the statue gets wider at the middle here and then narrower at the top. So both the figure and the base are a complete composition in one. There's a lot of thought that goes into that when it comes to the design process that I really appreciate. Sideshow really goes above and beyond to make sure each piece that they make is a whole composition in and of itself, not just a figure on a base. I think this piece really exemplifies that whole design concept. The statue is perched atop this detailed gargoyle base that we talked about at the very beginning. And as you follow it up, you see her whip, which goes all the way around. This is a full bullwhip braid. It's actually sculpted properly. I have some experience with bullwhips, and this is correct. It goes all the way around to her hand, and she's got this highly tensioned pose that has her turned in her middle torso here, so that there's a lot of, it is just kinetic energy between her hips and her shoulders. The whip is back, she's got her head tilted forward. It just adds a lot of dynamics to what's an otherwise static pose. This backpack that is sculpted completely, there's no fabric elements on this premium format, so I would guess the mixed media is considered to be the whip here. But the backpack looks like it's made of nylon. There's stitching, there's 6 or 7 layers of depth sculpted in. There are buckles right here on her rib cage. This is a securing strap that goes around her rib cage and keeps the backpack from bouncing around as she goes from rooftop to rooftop. And then it goes all the way around to the back. Has shoulder straps that again are like a tactical design with multiple fabrics into this backpack that looks like it's actually full of stuff. I think that's a neat detail. She's been out robbing and getting her coffers full, and the backpack has all kinds of little details. You've got these pockets that are sculpted in, and on the pocket here you've got little icons of Catwoman. You've got her paw, you've got a diamond that shows that she's a cat burglar, and then you've got this little bat symbol here, which is just an homage to her lover, nemesis, whatever Batman and Catwoman are in that current story run. They're always connected. Now, I talked about Easter eggs, and this one has a neat one. There's this little Batman keychain hanging from this upper pocket here. It looks like it's made of pewter, and it's sculpted into the backpack itself, but it's a neat little Batman homage along with this spotlight that just gives you an idea of where this character is from. Of course, you're going to probably know who Catwoman is, but this gives you a little bit more to the story. Her suit itself looks like it's made up of multiple fabrics. The more grayish black area here does look like a fabric. Maybe it's a lycra or something like that. Her boots and her gloves look to be made of PVC raincoat type of material like we saw in Batman Returns, or rubber of some sort, but it gives you a lot of texture differences in this otherwise simple figural piece. Her boots have a custom tread on the bottom. They're integrated into the suit itself, and it's just a very well-designed piece that has details from top to bottom. When you get up to her head, you get a chance to look at these two portraits, and they're just beautiful. The way that she's sculpted, she looks like she's in her late 20s or so. So she's got some experience behind her, which is something I really like. She'd be smart and dangerous that way. Then she's got her makeup that's applied in a very smoky style on this portrait. She's got this dark red lipstick and there's a gloss applied to the lips, so they have a life and a sparkle, just like the eyes. These goggles are actually sculpted onto the headpiece, and the cuts behind them are so deep that it looks like you can actually pull these goggles off, like they're actually a piece that could come off. I do think it would have been neat to have a third alternate portrait with the goggles down over her eyes, but there's always something more you could want. If you switch out away from the collector's edition portrait into the exclusive edition portrait, you do change up the look of your statue quite a bit. Now, this portrait is much more the classic animated series Catwoman, at least to me, where she's got this black face mask on the dark charcoal headpiece, and her makeup is a bit different. Her lipstick is more pale. She's actually biting her lip in this sculpt. Her eye makeup, at least on my version, is a little bit lighter than the other one, so it gives you just this more natural, sexy feel, whereas this one is a little bit more mischievous, at least to me. She's got this half smirk, whereas this one, she just looks like she's got a totally different attitude. Now, having the ability to switch out between these two portraits just keeps your collection fresh. Sometimes portrait swap outs is just a hairstyle or maybe just a slightly different costume. I do really like it when it has a completely different feel to the character. The pros and cons of this piece. The pros are its composition overall. It's very well executed. My example fits very well together. There's no gaps. There's nothing wrong with the engineering on this piece except for that element that I mentioned about the whip. That could have been done better. The eyes are both looking in exactly the same direction, and there isn't a whole lot not to like about this piece. The only things I would watch out for, it does pick up dust because she is a black suited character. And some people may not like this take on the all black suited Catwoman, but this is the version that Sideshow went with, and I happen to like it. I did have my eye on the older Catwoman, where she's in the fabric catsuit, standing up, and she's on a round base with a cat at her feet. I did like that one. When I saw this one was available, I wasn't sure if I was going to go for it or not, but it really, really grew on me after I opened it and started looking at all of the details and the character that goes into this piece. Catwoman is one of the oldest Batman villains. She came out at the very beginning of the run, and she's had such an interesting track all the way through her career with Batman. She's a character that you use to explain the motivations of other characters. People will say, is that a good character or a bad character? I'll often use Catwoman as an example, and I'll say, do you know Catwoman from Batman? She's like that. She's not really good or bad. When you have a character that's iconic enough to use to describe other characters, that's a good piece for your collection. Is this a must-buy? I have come to think that it is. If you have DC, Batman, femme fatales, if you collect female statues, this is one that I really think you should add to your collection because it's so iconic. Some characters in this hobby, we have to know something about the comics or about the movies to include them in our collections and appreciate them. Catwoman is one that you can have on your shelf, and everybody that comes into your house is going to know exactly who she is. That's a fun aspect of iconic characters like this. So add her to your collection today. I think you're really going to like it. Happy collecting.
Hey, did you like that video? Be sure to subscribe by clicking the S icon on your screen and click that bell icon to be notified whenever a new video is posted. If you'd like more info on the items featured in this video, click the link provided under Product Info. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to let your geek side show.